Your friend has got a lot to share.
Hey, it's a special Tuesday night edition of Radio Friends. Again, this will mess up a lot of people that are. We don't usually come on in the evening, but with the loss of a dear friend, Paul Payton, we thought we'd get on. And Dave is usually he's usually around, so it might just be Dave and I. But we just thought we could spend some time. You had a chance to work with Paul, right?
Oh, yeah. I had a chance to work a lot with him in the production room. And we also used to screw around in the production room. Paul was, I never realized how good of a voice he has for singing. And we did some overlapping and did some great doo-wop. He had a good doo-wop voice and doing doo-wop stuff. And it was amazing. And then years later, when I was out of DRC, Paul and I got in touch, and he had a band play with and I forgot the name. I forgot the name of the group. Anyway, they did a song called "Music in the Nude" or something, and we had them on Ralph and Friends. We did when I was doing Ralph and Friends, and we had them on there, and they were good. They were really good, and Paul played the keyboard, which he's very good at, and it was very, very entertaining, very entertaining. And I guess he left the group. I don't know if it was positive or not, but anyways, I think the singer went out on his own. That's why they separated. But Paul was a great guy, good guy to work with. I don't think I've ever seen him angry at anybody. Even all the crap that I gave him in the production room. And no, he was very accommodating, and he had his own style. He was not one of these type of readers that would do, going out of business or a Connecticut Dragway type of commercial. But he was good at it. He had his own low key style. And that caused problems with some script writers because, you get one salesman who we all know, and I won't mention Bob Kurzman's name. And but actually, it was John Fleming, the late John Fleming, had him do a Bernie's TV and appliance store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Paul it was like 5 seconds over, and I said, Paul, we got to get it down. And Paul tried going faster, and he still came up 5 seconds over. And so I saw John, and I said, John, you're going to need to cut the copy. And Fleming, what do you mean you need to cut? I don't need to cut the copy here. I says, you do it. And I timed him. John read it in 55 seconds and sold it. And I said, gee, you should be doing these. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. He says, well, if I can get it done, maybe I'll add a 5 second tag. I says, you're not going to get a 5 second tag on this. You're going to have to do the spot if you wanted to do a 5 second tag. So John went in and did the spot. We gave Paul the talent fee for it. And John, from that point, John did all the Bernies, and the rest is history as far as that goes. But Paul was always gracious to work with. Always great. A lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in the production room.
But he really what always amazed me is here he is, Country Paul, and no matter what the format was, he was such a radio guy.
Yeah.
And then when I just sent out the record room show that he'd been doing, and I just because he had sent it a while ago, it's like 66 shows, and it's all the way from April of 2022 through August 7th, and even just a few weeks ago. And he even says on there, this may be my last show. You may be able to tell by the sound of my voice. He says, so I'm being very careful about the songs I'm picking. So
yes, I remember that.
And you hear the different songs he's playing, it really makes a difference right now. But to hear those words coming out of him, where he really felt that was going to be his last one. But who knows? Maybe I'll be back. But it was powerful to hear that. But he never. Not only was he a great talent, but man, he could sell. Holy cow! Nobody pitched Paul Payton like Paul Payton pitched Paul Payton,
Yeah.
and that says a lot because it takes those some of the best talent will never make it anywhere, but the
Right.
best talent that have sales capability behind them, and they really know how to present themselves and sell themselves as a product, nothing more than a product, and you
Yes.
just keep pitching it. And I used to laugh because there'd be all these jobs that would come down through the cable world and they pay nothing, pay nothing. I mean, if you got 25 bucks for voiceover in a commercial, you were lucky. So Paul would take them. But see what Paul would do was he did his card said have voice will travel. And
Yeah.
he would set up a route. And when he left New Jersey, he'd have a bunch of stops to make. So it wasn't like he was going to come all the way here for, just a cable thing. He'd have
Yeah.
a bunch of them everywhere. So when he was on the road, he probably came back with a pretty hefty bag full of dough.
Yeah. He was, I never pictured him as a businessman. I figured he was just, he's a radio jock. He's in the radio, he's in the music and that, but there was another side of Paul that I'm just learning. And
Well, he used to drive me nuts. I mean, he never, ever, ever, and even right up in the email that he sent out, um, right when he was, telling us how sick he was and everything. Even then, I got the archives here of all my shows. I think you really he always
yeah.
had one more thing for you to listen to, and
Yeah.
I always, I always talked about it. How his last ups he got at DRC, they let him on the air for the last time, and he signed off with Pilot of the Airwaves, and I
Yeah.
just that was perfect. I'll never forget that. So he would say, and he'd sign off to me every now and then, "You're Pilot of the Airwaves," but
Yeah.
yeah, just
He when he sent out his last letter, I read it. I had to read it twice.
Yep.
Because is this what I think it is?
yeah, yeah,
And I had tears coming to my eyes, and I
yeah,
said, "This can't be true."
yeah,
It's, Paul is forever,
yeah.
and it's hard. I
You
just
should send out maybe resend that Zoom that he was on with us because I'm sure a lot of guys would like to see it again. They may not even be able to find it. Remember the one where he spoke at length? We have
yeah,
that one.
yeah. Well, that's also on YouTube. That
Oh,
is
good.
it is on YouTube. It's under, and it's easy to find. But yeah,
Is it titled? Excuse me, Dave. Is it titled or anything? If somebody does want to find it on YouTube,
if you find it on YouTube, I can put Paul Payton. I think I put Paul Payton on it. I have to look. I can
yeah, that'd be good because
and
he said so much during that show. It was great.
oh God, yeah. I mean, the words he said about me I was flabbergasted. I mean, and I felt honored. I felt really honored, and
Boy, wouldn't it have been funny if you screwed up recording that one?
I better not.
We gave it to Dave to edit, and we don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, what happened to it? But yeah, I was just, because a lot of times the production guys are the unsung heroes, as you say, very rarely get recognized, and to be recognized by one of my colleagues like that, I found to be very moving and very powerful, very powerful.
I think we lost another production guy a week or two ago, and that was Doug Clark, who owned the gallery in East Hartford.
Yeah.
Doug taught everybody. I mean, the bands learned from Doug, the other production houses learned from Doug, and
Really?
going to his service was really something because
I thought Doug Cupper owned.
nope, Doug Cupper owned Tapeworks, and
Okay.
and Doug Clark owned the gallery, and the
Okay.
gallery was over in a factory in East Hartford.
Yep, I knew where they were. I talked to them. Oh God, a long time ago. I think when they first opened up, they asked for something, and I had it, and I gave it to them. But
Well, somebody said that's where on one of the Zoom meetings we had a week or two ago, somebody said that's where the DRC Echo reverb system went.
yeah, probably. Did you ever see that unit?
I heard it was huge.
Huge, it was like a king size bed.
Really?
And, yeah, we had it and they had it in the hallway at Blue Hills Avenue, and I'm trying to think it was either shortly before we moved there or after we moved there. Wayne had it, and Wayne was, I guess selling it or something, and I said, "What's this?" And he says, it's a reverb unit. I said, reverb unit, old reverb unit. And it had a little, like in the middle was a little pin or thing that would drop down and it would vibrate in that. And wherever, how much reverb you want, you would have moved that pin and would give you more echo or more hollow sound. And you had to put that at the right spot. And I said, wow, I always thought it was just done electronically.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I have a reverb unit here that I got from my lead guitar player, and he had it. And of course, when you hit it, the thing, sounds like thunder going off and a bunch of springs and that, but still works. It's a good
Yeah,
unit.
but how many auxiliary state policemen do you know that actually have a lead guitar player? I mean, there's just not a lot.
Believe it or not, a couple of guys. Yep, a couple of guys had the lead guitar player, but that was my days when I was in my band,
Uh-huh.
the Sounds of Soul, and
What was it called?
The Sounds of Soul,
Sounds of Soul.
and that's where I met. Believe it or not, that's where I met Walt Pinto.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was working at WICC in Bridgeport, and he was doing a show called Talent Showcase. And so, our band got selected to go out there. So we went to ICC and remember carting all the equipment. They were on the second floor and we got into the studio and Walt was in there. Of course, his name wasn't Walt Pinto. And of course, we all know him as Kent Clark. But his name there was, I think, Walt Peters or something.
Uh-huh.
And so, he did the show and he interviewed all of us. And he says, what would you like to do? What's your career? I says, I want to get into broadcasting. And he says, well, you can want to take over my show now? And I said, no, thanks.
Oh God.
Oh God. Yeah. And
God.
so years later, I'm working at DRC on the AM side, and I'm told that Kent Clark is coming in to do work on the FM side. It was, I think, a 7 to midnight gig or something. And of course, Walt was running the broadcast school downstairs on the 6th floor. Mm-hmm. And so he comes in the room and, I waved to him and waves to me. And I said, he looks familiar, but I didn't quite place him. So I turned up the FM side because we work with the AM guy, but you can also listen to the FM guy. And I turned up the FM guy and I heard him and I said, and I knew his voice. And I said, that's Walt Peters. Mm-hmm. And so you'll love this part. You're a little more headroom, Steve. Tilt down a little bit. No, not that much. A little bit up. Right there. Yeah. Good. So I go into the FM studio and I said, you used to work at ICC in Bridgeport. And, Walt was always very, I did work. And I mentioned, his name and that. And he goes, yeah. I said, our band was on your show, the Sounds of Soul and that. And he goes, oh, really? I says, yeah, but we didn't win. And we joked about it. And your father comes into the FM studio. He says, you can't be in here. I says, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, disturb anything. And so I left. So I walked away. First, I walked away over to the control room on the AM side. And your father's talking to Walt, walks back and sees me running the show with, I think it was McDonough or could have been Joe Hager, and I'm running the board. And father walked by, and I guess he was early around 7 o'clock, and he goes in and sees Jimmy. He says, who's that guy out there? Jimmy says, he says, that's one of the part-time guys. Dave, I don't know his last name, of course, he later did, but he says, I just threw him out of the FM studio. So your father comes into the room and he goes, I want to apologize. I didn't mean to throw you out of the FM studio. I thought you were, somebody off the street. And
God.
I says, yeah, I do come off the street occasionally. And that's when your father and I connected right there.
Oh, God.
And he says, I apologize. I says, no problem. And but yeah, that was always, that's how I really got to meet your dad. Mm-hmm. And get to know your dad real well. And it's funny how things come about. And
yeah. I remember when they hired Country Paul because of the fact that he had such an album-oriented rock reputation. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy cow. I'm wondering if we did bring him in the first time as we were D103.
I think so. I don't know.
That was,
I
we
mean,
were doing, and with Barry Grant over there and all that stuff over there. I'm
yeah,
wondering if
Otis,
Stu Kaufman,
yeah, Stu Kaufman, and yeah, and I don't even remember if I auditioned Paul. I don't think he had I don't know if I auditioned him, because usually your dad will they'll bring in an audition tape, listen to it, and then they come in for the audition. And so you're walking around, Steve.
That's because I'm going to lose power.
You're gonna lose. Oh, you got to go
Yeah.
quickly plug it in.
I got
Wait,
muted the other.
This is like
I got muted the other day, and everybody applauded because they couldn't hear me. He's muted finally.
oh, you got some good lighting there for you now. That's good.
All right.
Yes, yeah. This is like when we were doing the radio show. I'd be talking, and you get up and walk away and go do something, and I got to be standing there holding the attention of everybody.
Well, that's only because that would be when you were getting like, I can handle that. I can do that. Okay, see you later. And then
I'd
walk down the hall and I'd hear. Better get back in there. Hi, Dave.
Yeah, but no, Paul was. I'm trying to remember if I did an audition with Paul, because I auditioned Bob Marks and Ed Lieblich, and Ed Mitchell, and quite a few guys over at the Big D, and I helped them through their audition, and so they could sound their best, and yeah, I think I don't know if I did it with Paul. I'm not trying to remember, because like Mike Taylor, he was hired without an audition. Didn't have to have an audition with Mike Taylor, and I'm just trying to remember if excuse me, if Paul had an audition there. So
yeah, he was. I just thought it was great that when whatever the format was, Paul could just you get certain people that they're like a one-trick pony. So
right.
They go, well, I wouldn't play that kind of music, and well, see you later. It's like you do what.
Yeah, no, Paul was very versatile. He was very versatile. The only thing I don't think he ever did was news, but he could have. But he was very versatile and could do the top 40, could do the AOR, do the different music formats, and but I don't think he ever worked with me or any of the guys on the AM side. I don't recall him being on the AM side at all.
Well, that program of his, that record room thing, holy Toledo! I sent it out to you, and the shows are great. Holy Toledo! Because it's just so many songs from the 50s and 60s and stuff. A lot of doo-wop stuff. A lot of doo-wop. Yeah.
He was a big doo-wop fan. He really was. And as I said, we screwed around in the production room, and he just, when I was doing the multi-tracking we were just doing that, he would lay down the doo-ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo, then go add the harmony to it and put the harmony to it. Next thing you know, you sound like you think you're in Philadelphia on the streets of Philadelphia. We had that.
I remember the Papa's Dodge. Excuse me, I think you guys did the Papa's Dodge thing, and I think that was a demo, and it was like pa 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 pa. It's great.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did do that. But you see, guys working with guys like Paul and even Harrington and a few others were very creative. Even Craig, was creative, and I love working with these guys. Dick McDonough was very good. He was a voice, but Dick had a certain style. Dick was strictly doing all the serious stuff. He did very few character, if any character voices in that. I know when we did that, we did one Connecticut Dragway, and I did a character voice and put that on the tape, and Lon Landis. Lon Landis is another guy who surprised the hell out of me. He
great sense of humor. Yeah.
Great sense of, but he had that dry wit. And I remember us doing the Connecticut Dragway, and then he says, "Okay," he says, "Can crank me up a little bit and a little reverb. And I said, okay. He goes right towards the end of the spot we were overlapping, and it goes, of course, a Frank Murata presentation. It had a big echo on it, and I started laughing, but he, but that was his style. And he says, now at this point the music will stop. I says, no, you got it. And I had the music going with all the craziness, and then it just stops, and you hear, of course, a Frank Murata presentation. Most of the time there was, Frank Murata presentation presents blah blah.
Sunday.
Yeah. And I remember when Scotty Morgan used to do them, and but yeah, if Lon Landis was very creative. Paul was creative too. He was very creative. I don't recall. We did one spot, and he said, well, "Can we do this?" And I said, "Well, yeah, let's do this and try." We would collaborate back and forth, and but Paul didn't do a lot of production there at DRC. He did a few, but what he did it well. He did it very well, and of course, most of the guys they used were. Because I think mostly it was because of the time slot that he worked, he worked 7 to midnight, and so he didn't do a lot of production unless they brought him in early, and we would do stuff. And I'm trying to think if he did any promos. It's been about 50 years ago. I can barely remember.
Would have him.
I don't even know who I am. Who are you? I don't know. But yeah, no, Paul was just, always a pleasure to work. Very accommodating, very accommodating. And, if he's, I have a few outtakes of him. That's for sure. Oh yeah. And that I know I have. And, but, when, he screw up, he'd get upset with himself, and, a few words would come out here and there. And, but he was good. He was a lot of fun, we're gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him on the Zoom meetings.
Boy, I'm so glad that he did because he was out of everybody that came to the 100th, he really stands out to me as just having a blast and being so happy to be with everybody. And he kept coming over to me, oh, thank you, this is great. And even when he got into the Zoom stuff, he loved it. It just and I don't know who it was. It was somebody. And I don't know. I think it was. I don't know if they sent the email to all of us, or you got a comment after. I don't know who it was. Got a comment from somebody last week, and their wife is a psychologist, and
Pete Solano.
Okay, because his wife said to keep doing this, and he said by getting together with friends a lot, that helps you kind of stave off the Alzheimer's and all that, because your mind is always going when you're, getting together with friends. And I thought, who would have thought this was going to be healthy?
Well, as I told you before on the phone, these meetings aren't just talking about WDRC. It's talking about radio in general. And we talked to Pete Salant, and then we had Russ Oasis. Russ Oasis on there, and his back, and what he did in the business, and
of course, of course, not his hair was too long.
Yeah. But he has a plethora of knowledge, and Craig's another guy who just was amazing, and I love his warped sense of humor. Every time I get on there, he's always making a wisecrack about me.
Yeah.
But that's the way he is, and it's funny, and because I used to crack him up easy in the production room. I remember doing the House of Zodiac spots.
Oh God, the House of Zodiac.
Yeah, he did those, and then we did another one for Betting Barn, or not? Yeah, it was Betting Barn. It wasn't Betting Barn. No, this is long before you. It was a betting commercial, like cannonball beds, and
yeah.
That's what he'd be talking about, and your cannonballs.
Oh God.
Oh God. But he was, that's what made that job fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is fun. And I remember, I don't mean to get off of Paul, but I remember one time Dick McDonough came in an hour earlier. Usually Dick would come in around 2:00 and we would spend the hour producing spots and stuff. But I remember he came in at 1:00 and your father wanted him to do the nonstop rock of Connecticut, WDRC, AM and FM, stereo, Hartford. And he spent, I think, almost 2 hours on that. And Dick was spent by the time he got in to do his show. And Dick would just look at me and go, buddy, what's he looking for? I said, I don't know. I said, I just don't know. And then your father heard the right rhythm and the right voice tone. And he said, yeah, you got it. That's it. And Dick just walked out disgusted, but that was your dad.
Yeah, but when you're looking for something, I remember when after my dad was retired and he put together a PSA for multiple sclerosis, and he said Kris Kan would be the voice for this. So right away, got a hold of Kris, no charge. Kris just said, for you, Charlie, whatever. Came down from Boston, and he went in there. He's got the BMW, the headphones. He walks in, he's Kris Kan, and he goes in and he reads the copy, and everybody's like, wow, that's incredible. And my dad goes, all right, let's go to work. And he put him in the studio, and he came out an hour later and he says, thanks, Charlie. It's been a long time since anybody beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, last time I saw Kris was I was at ESPN and he called me up and I was going to try to get him to do some voiceover at ESPN. So I had lunch with him in the cafeteria and we just sat and talked and reminisced and that. But Kris was a very unique guy. He was very unique. He came in. A lot of people were intimidated by him, not because of the voice, but just his look.
Oh, really?
Kris looked like a hitman from Chicago. and he played the role. He would, as you said, and people would come in and they were just deathly afraid of him. Well, I had something on Kris that I'm in the production room and Kris had walked out of the room and Sandy Garfield, remember Sandy Garfield?
Yeah.
She's in the room. She's with Enfield Square and Meriden Square, but she was in Enfield Square and we're cutting stuff with her. And your dad, and she goes, oh, there goes my Santa Claus. And I go, where? I said, that's Kris Kan. She says, yeah, he did. He was my Santa Claus over the wall. And I said,
oh my God.
So one day I'm at home. I'm living in Rocky Hill at the time. And Mary Lou and I were there. And Kris comes barging in. And he goes, he says, we got to go look at an apartment. And I says, okay. So we went down and he mentioned something about, people seem to be intimidated by me. I says, well, crying out loud, you look like a hitman. He says, but you're not. He says, you don't seem to be, is it because you're a cop? And I go, yeah, kind of. I was with East Haven Auxiliaries at that time. And I go, well, yeah, kind of. So I messed with him a little bit. And I said, I know a lot about people. And he goes, yeah, well, you don't know a lot about me. I says, what? You mean you being Santa Claus at West Farms Mall?
Ah.
Enfield Square Mall. And he just stopped and looked at me and he goes, where, how did you know? Who? I says, Kris, remember, I'm a cop. I find out about people. Found about, I had him. I never told him how I got it.
Oh God.
He just was.
Oh God.
He was. In fact, even when we were at ESPN, he reminded me about that. He says, "Can I ask you a question?" I go, "Yeah." All right. He says, "How did you know about me at being Santa Claus?" I says, "I told you, Kris.
Oh God.
I got to know about it. I do back around. I know more things about everybody, but I don't just go around blabbing about them. It's between me and you, and he never gave me any problem. A lot of guys didn't because I was money in their pockets because they would do, had the talent fees. We would, do the spots, and a lot of times I would pick the guys, and I would say, well, he hasn't done any talent fee work, or he does very little production. Let's bring him in. What do you think of that? And I would bring them in to cut the spot, and did that with Paul, because Paul wasn't used a lot, and also did it with some of the overnight guys that worked there, like Rod Allen and even Barry Grant. We would put, we would, like, if one of the salesmen or somebody did a spot, we would put their names in the basket, and we pick out, oh, okay, it's Barry Grant. We'll give Barry Grant the $7.50, But yeah, it was very unique. But Kris Kan was the best production voice I ever worked with
Really?
at DRC. Yes. We were doing a spot for Tri-City Plaza.
Yeah.
And it was the Diamond Showcase.
I'm in Showcase.
Yeah. And he read the spot, and I looked at him and I said, nice job. He read it straight. And I said, can you give me an English accent, like somebody from Wales? I don't want a Cockney accent. I want an English, almost like a Ronald Coleman type of voice. And he goes, oh, sure. Cranked the mic up. He got real close to the mic, and all of a sudden, he says, for the woman in your life, a diamond of the diamond. I mean, it was just melted. Spot was huge success. And he got to do a lot of them. Then we had another one where we came in, he had to play a pirate. And he goes, hey, Pirate Pete here. We're going to be, and he do that, I mean, he was very versatile in his voices, and he could do the straight, spot. We even did one for a spot for Kabachnik. McDonough did the ones, and then Kris went in, and he did, real crazy and high pitched voice, and it's hysterical, but he was good at it. He was so versatile. He's the best production voice I ever worked with at DRC. McDonough and all those guys were good, but Kris was so versatile.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, even down at that was it at Channel 8, but I wasn't the big, death and destruction voice. That guy made all the money in his pajamas in South Carolina. But I had to be, like you're saying, versatile. All these other different voices, high, low, fast, slow, whatever. But with Diamond Showcase, when I finally got that account, I think I might even had Cupper to do it. What I wanted to do was The Price is Right, because of the showcase. So they made up a jingle that sounded almost like it, just reversed a few notes. That's a Diamond Showcase. I mean, it was just a perfect takeoff of the whole Price is Right with the showcase. But, oh my God. Yeah, Kris was really, Kris was, is he still in the business?
Another voice gone.
Is he alive?
Oh, he passed away about a year and a half ago.
No kidding.
Yeah, we lost Kris.
Wow.
And I was shocked when I heard that. And he's on our DRC memoriam that we did. Wow. And I would have to take Paul and put him on there, and other people. But yeah, Kris, I was shocked that he was, I think, in New Hampshire then. He was done some stuff in Boston, and he went out and finally did a lot of commercials. In fact, he and I talked about it when I was at DRC. I said, you should be freelancing. Why aren't you? He didn't have confidence in himself, believe it or not. He did not have the confidence. I says, you're phenomenal. You're good. You're good at what you do. Then the next thing you know, I hear him doing WB Masons on television, the voiceovers for WB Masons and that for radio and for television. And he had that account. And then I heard him on another account. And again, a lot of the guys, they branched out. Paul Payton was another one. Paul he did a lot of we call them PIs, purchase on income.
Yep.
He would do them, and I said, I know that voice, because he didn't, yuck it up sometimes. But then you sit there, and then you hear one little tone. It's like, oh, is that Payton? And you find out later, yeah, it was Payton. And because I asked him at one of the reunions, I said, did you do this? Oh, yeah, I did this. I do this, this, and this. Bob Marks was another one. I'm coming home from CSB one night in Stratford and coming over and going down the Wilbur Cross, and I hear his voice on Medicare, and this voice, and I go, God, it sounds like Bart Mazzarella. Nah, I says, this is in Connecticut. He's down in Florida. And, nah, I can't be. And then I hear another one, and I hear another one. One with Joe Namath on it, and he does all the reading for that. So I asked him, I said, you didn't do any of the Medicare. I did all the Medicare stuff for that. That was you. I says, thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Oh yeah, that was me. And it's nice to hear somebody recognizable like that.
Oh, I tell you, to me, I mean, still in all the years at Channel 8, I always loved the fact like I could be at the, like down a hallway or something, and it, Channel 8 would be on in like a hospital room or something, and I'd be going, wait, it's me. I always got the big, nobody knew. I just like that. I think that's me out there. Yeah. But no, it's really, really something. Well, I don't want to hold you, David. I thank you. I just wanted to.
All right, no, I've got all the time in the world.
I'm glad that we were able to talk. It's really it's meant a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. No, but no, I couldn't believe when I got that note from his wife, and I didn't even say anything. I just basically forwarded the message on. I didn't know what else to do, and just
last 2 days. The other day, I got Walt Pinto called me about Skip Franco.
Oh, had he been sick?
Well, he had been sick, and he'd been in and out of the hospital, but he was recuperating. And during the summer, Walt, Skip, and myself, we went to West Hartford for lunch, and we had a great time. And Skip just had a cane, and he had just, I think, had some surgery or something, and he's walking with the cane. In fact, he walked better than Walt Pinto did. Sorry, Walt, if you're listening. No, we went to this little Italian restaurant, and it was great. It was right at in the West Hartford Center at on I don't know if it was LaSalle Street or where they have all the
Yep.
And it was a great time, and Skip was his jovial self, and talking about different people. He was telling a few off-color jokes, and but it was Skip was always good. I met him at the BOOBs meeting. That's the only time.
That's right. Always see him.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was, and then got to know him and talked to his wife Linda. And
is he in the business?
Huh? Yes, he worked at YZ.
Oh, okay.
He worked at YZ for I think Pinto hired him there when Pinto was and so he's a real techie guy, and he loved to. They were Walt and Skip would exchange different music and stuff like that, and real nice guy, and he made DVDs, and it was shocking when I heard, because I said in July we went out and had dinner, and I didn't even know he was ill. I talked to Linda. I talked to his wife today and gave my condolences. And she said that, she held his hand, and she was there for the last moments. And she says when he came, he had this smirk on his face, and then he changed the smirk to a nice, peaceful look. And she says, I know he's at peace. He's not no more suffering. He must have been suffering in that. Apparently he had a blood clot, and they gave him blood thinners. And clot just took over, and he passed away due to that. And
well, that's the terrifying thing. See, I've been on blood thinners since I had that heart episode. I've been on Eliquis, and when I went in for my hernia operation, I had to stop that 48 hours before the operation. And when I lost my business partner, Tommy Russo, last year, they had him off of his blood thinner, and they thought that may have caused his stroke. But I guess I found out after he had a lot of other health issues. But the thing that got me was Dave, if it wasn't for the very last nurse looking at my medication saying, did you take that this morning? I said, yeah. She goes, that was supposed to be stopped 72 hours ago. And I said, so you mean, and all the time that I tell you people what my meds are, you're asking me now? You know, I mean, I gave you a copy. Well, we told you in my chart. I'm going, fuck you, my chart. I don't know anything about that. But I'm telling you, if she didn't catch that, the anesthesiologist came out and he goes, well, gonna have to hold off. He says, because it could be kind of tough. It could affect your heart, or you could wake up blind. And I went, oh, I'm thinking we wait. I was thinking, it's not the time to roll the dice, dude. If you're not feeling good about it, you're the most important person in the room. Shit, I ain't going in there. But if it weren't for that one nurse, I mean, and Angela was so pissed because somebody should have caught it. And for them to come back and say, well, it was in my chart. No, because they even called me at one point, and a woman on the phone, the nurse on the phone says, oh, I made a mistake. You can't take such and such medication. Okay. But she never said anything about any other medication. And this thing's been on my list and I take it every day for years. I'm like,
well, when I had my kidney operation, or my hernia operation,
yep.
I had to get off of my medication, and I'm saying I'm taking this. I said, what about this? What about that? I mean, I kept asking them questions, and they said, well, if you do, well, you could take this during the day, and I said, I had to get off my blood pressure medication, no aspirin. And I said, screw it. I just did everything, did away with all my medication for the 72 hours I had. Mm-hmm. And, fortunately, everything worked out well for me. I was in pain, but, I imagine you were in pain after. When did you?
I got it. I had it done 2006, and now I've got to wait until November 15th to do it at this time. So it's like 30 days. Yeah, 30 days.
You're going to be in pain.
Huh?
You're going to be in pain.
Well, I had it done in 2006.
You were very painful.
No. Well, the problem was I was okay after a few days. And then what happened was I went back to work and, you got that little incision. I'm not worried about it. I goes black and blue like you couldn't believe. And I called up the doctor. She goes, you had major surgery, right? I'm going, yeah, but I felt okay. I go, no. They said maybe halftime. So now now it's tough because I was trying to get it done in plenty of time before the holiday because I work at Tommy Bahama. Right. So now I met with my boss yesterday. I was just going over a bunch of stuff. And I said, well, you can put me in there, but if I'm not doing right, I'm gone. If you want to, it'd be nice. I should be able to I should be feeling fine then, but not a lot of running around. And I said, no more than a 4-hour shift, which is what I've been doing. But Dave, the other night, we had the opening of The Night America Panicked, The War of the Worlds.
Right. How did that go?
It was, Dave, when you get in front of a live audience, whoa, because you would love this, Dave, because it's full of sound effects. And we got the Foley box. We've got the guy
doing it live on stage right there.
Yeah. And I'm the Mercury Theater announcer. So I've got the hairs all the way back. It's slicked back. And I actually have the 1930s tuxedo that I got married in. It was my uncle's tuxedo from Yale. But Dave, all of a sudden, you find out where they're at. And once you know what they're laughing at, because the crowd's always different. Once you know what's going to hit them and what isn't. But the wild thing was, right before I go out on stage, the hernia starts kicking up. And I'm like, are you afraid? Because I have to stand. And that's a tough thing when you have a hernia. And that's primarily, I'm mostly standing. I sit a little bit, but I'm mostly up at the microphone. So I'm in one of the spare rooms at the Unity Greater Hartford. It was like a church. The guy opens a spare room. I'm in my full dress tuxedo, lying flat on the floor. Going, no, I'm okay. I started to explain it to him. He says, don't worry about it. He says, I'm a physical therapist. I get it. Don't worry about it. But okay. And I was laying in the dressing room. 2 women come through. They were going to run their lines. They open the door and I'm laying there on my flat. I go, it's okay. I'm fine. But thank God it held up because I was like, are you kidding me? Not tonight. But because when it kicks off, you have to lay on your back and pop it back in.
Yeah.
and which is a wonderful medical term. But yeah, it was. But Dave, I wish you were here. This is your zone, man. You would be loving this.
Oh, if I were there, I would have, gotten involved.
Oh my God.
But I would have. Unfortunately, I knew I wasn't going to be, and I says, and then when you
Even
told me,
I'm trying. I've got guys in there that are working hard, but at one point, see, I count on their cues. I'm looking for audio cues. So one of the things is I'm supposed to be doing all these bulletins that are coming in about
Right.
the Martians and all this, and the teletype is under me the whole time. Well, if I can't hear the teletype, I don't know when to go. So I just said to the guy, I said, hey, I said, just do me a favor, because we only have a small monitor on the stage. It's probably very, more than loud enough to the audience. But I'm going, I need to hear that. I need to hear it. I said, so do me a favor, just stab it and pull it right back, just so I know it's there. And then what I did, I said to him later, I said, here's what we need to do. And you don't want to get anybody upset, and I'm not doing their job. I said, but if you can keep the lights out in between the scenes, bring the teletype in before you bring the lights up, because at least then even if I'm not hearing it, I'll know it's there. So get the teletype going. And honestly, from a transition standpoint, you shouldn't be transitioning the teletype in while the lights are up anyways. It should be in the dark and then bring the lights up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've always believed in that. And even when I was managing bands, we'd be on stage, and I remember being in one talent show, and the guy they said our band was going to take up too long to set up. And I says, no, they won't, because we had everything set up. We had a Hammond organ, and we had the drums. We had the drums on a rug. We had the Hammond organ behind curtains behind the stage, and all we had to do was wheel everything out. So the guys making the announcement for the next group coming on, and our guys are moving, everything in place. We had the drum sets already set and ready to go. And he says, then he introduces the band. It was called Late City Edition. The Late City Edition. As soon as they heard the word late, cue the guys, they started playing, and the curtains were closed. And as they're playing, the curtain opens up and everyone starts cheering, as opposed to looking around, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember working with Doug Ovian. He was an attorney that was with our video production company, and I got involved in a play at University of Hartford, and we were performing it on their stage, and I was going to be directing it and saying, okay, here you do this, do it. Coming up with a lot of the sound effects, because it was a show about radio, and so the sound effects, people would see them. And of course, the guy who was running the board got sick. I had to sit behind running the board, looking in a little black and white monitor to find out where all the cues are. Oh God, I don't know. I guess it came out pretty good, but yeah, that was, and we only ran one performance. And
well, I know. Well, that's the thing with this. We did 2 this past weekend. We're doing 2 this weekend at Hole in the Wall, and then we're doing 2 in Glastonbury at the Planetarium. But it's funny. No matter what, we see the way it is, because it's a radio play. There's always a last minute. In the play, they have the last minute changes on the script, so everybody's working off the script. So if you're one of the performers, if you're an actor within the radio play, of course you have to hold the script, because you're playing it on the air. So problem was, I have so many cues on mine that if I can't read my script, I can't see the cues. And what happens is, you're somewhat in the dark, and if all of a sudden it's light and a shadow goes across half your words, you're like, okay. So what they did, I went out and I finally, because they had it like, everybody had the same type of script, and it was like pinned in the corner, and you just flip them through the pages. And I came in and I had a black folder, loose leaf folder, and I don't know how I got it. I did something for New Britain Symphony, and it was so weird, because there's like a strap around the back of the binder. I'm like, huh? Well, I realized that when I opened it, if I slid my fingers through there, I could just hold the script like this. So it was So I said to the director, I said, and it's black and everything. I said, this is the only way I'm doing it. I just told him that. It's like, it's this black folder, and that's how I'm doing it. And he goes, oh, okay. And then he goes, oh, you got the tuxedo. That'll work. Like, you know, you can have the, but thank God, because he's telling me, so Steve, like at one point he throws the cue. Okay. So I start reading. Guy next to me goes, well, you just ran over my lines. And I said, you cued me. He goes, oh, I was cueing him. I said, yeah, well, you cued me when you were trying to cue him. So I'm not looking at him. You're pointing at me, and I'm going, okay. But
There I go. Yeah.
but oh man, it was the people. Plus, because of the fact there's video behind it, and like they go back to like the black and white pictures of the phone operators, and we have phone operators on the stage. They do a great job with all the cords and all that stuff, and they got an applause sign that lights up, and you know it's great. But the wild thing was, it's having the audio videos, having that part of it, even though it's a radio thing, it's giving you like a timeline when you're looking at all this stuff going on.
Right.
Very, very cool. And then we've got you know, shooting bombs, and you know, you hear them like you hear a shot, and then a few seconds later, you know.
Are they videotaping this at all?
We hope so. But the thing is, I don't think it's going to be videotaped unless I may have someone in there with a video camera, because he's not doing it. And I think it's because he's concerned with audio and all that. But see, if I get Lola basically probably did every one of the Producing Guild shows that she was even close to, even if she wasn't on stage. But Sal never knew it, because Lola would have the handheld, and she'd be like all the way down in a chair, like in the fourth row. She would always she'd get the whole play. So whenever we wanted to know, we go, Lola got it. Yeah, she's like over, like barely above the chair, like this for the whole play. But
yeah, I mean, we did that when we did Dracula 1.
Oh, that was great. Oh.
I had, yeah, I mean, I had, well, you didn't work with me. Tom Ray worked, or did you work with me on the?
It was me and you.
Oh, was it? Okay. I thought it was the second one.
No,
we did
the first one.
Yeah. And we videotaped the performance. And so we had 2 cameras. And so we went over Asnatuck Community College to edit this thing.
Okay, then that was probably number 2. I was with you on 1. We didn't do that. That was probably number 2.
No, that was number 1. We did it on 1.
Well, this is the one that I did with you was with the magicians and when the bat thing didn't spring. That's the show I did.
Yeah, but we did do videotape number 1, but I didn't need an audio guy because we were putting the music in after. And so we had the 2 cameras, and I had the microphones hanging from the ceiling, and a couple of shotgun mics, and of course, at that time I had no really TV knowledge to speak of, and so we're over at Asnatuck. I'm taking a TV production course at Asnatuck, as Nuntuck, whatever, and we're over there. We're editing the features, and it took us like 6 weeks just to do half an act 1. So I had started at ESPN. I was just working there.
Yeah, see, Dave, hang on. When you and I did the first Dracula, you and I were working together at WWYZ, number 1. And it was me and you were driving your Fury back then. The big car.
Yeah.
The big police cruiser. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was that one, because that's when I was going out with Darlene. Remember, and there was another Parker in the show too.
Yes, and Lisa Parker.
Huh?
Lisa Parker.
Lisa and her husband. Yep.
Her husband, ex-husband, but
yeah, and that was like 79. That was, you were still at the station.
I was 70. Yeah, it was 79, and yeah, it was the second one I did. Then maybe it was the second one,
because I wasn't involved with this Nuntuck or videotape any of that I remember.
Did you work with me on the second one?
Probably not. If that's what you did, all that stuff, maybe I didn't. Thought I did.
I thought you.
You sure you videotaped it?
Well, all I know is we had 2 students come in from as Nuntuck to videotape, and they had 2 cameras rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and one occasionally you would see the camera come into the scene, and I swear I thought it was the first one, and we yes, it was the first one, because he went, I am he, and the book fly off the shelf. I screwed that up. We did the cutaway of the books flying off the shelf, And then we had because I shot it out of sequence, and we did the other. Then next thing you know, the books fly off the shelf. Then in another scene, the books are on the shelf again. And I said, I can't believe I did that, But because I put it was funny because when we played it back, I mean, it was like 2 years before we played it back.
Wow.
Actually, maybe it was like 5 years.
Wow.
And I put the HBO opening on it and made it look like an HBO production. And it was all done and shot on 3/4 inch. But
You were probably at ESPN then.
Yeah, I was. But I remember telling the instructor, I says, can't we play back these 2 machines, record on a third one, and then go run through the switcher and do? Oh no, we can't do that. No, that won't work. And I went, okay. I get over to ESPN. I'm building a master control room, and I have like 4 1-inch tape machines. So I dub each reel onto a 1-inch tape machine, put it on there, sync them all up, gang roll them from the master control room so they are all in sync. And then we recorded on another machine through the switcher. And took me an hour to do act 1, where it took me 6 weeks before.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And, and then I added, there was other scenes in there where, remember Lyle was reminiscing about, when he seduced Lisa and that I put that a key over it, put a key over that. So you can kind of see a ghost feature of that.
Oh, wow.
Doing the scene. And then one of the people in graphics gave me all the graphics. We swirled them in and we had the music. I used music from John Williams' Meteor and everything just fit. And so, yeah, we put that all together and I don't know. I have it. I think I have it here somewhere. I don't know. I thought I had a copy.
Lyle was great though. Oh man, was he? I am here. And then when he levitates, and oh my God, that was so cool. And then when we did the kids version, and the butler comes out and goes, "Munchies."
The canapes.
Munchies. Oh my God. Yeah, that was so much fun. That was fun. Being up in that crow's nest and watching those people react and watching them fly out of their chairs was the best. Scared the shit out of them.
We actually had the best seat in the house.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
Tom Ray worked on the first play I did was called Any Number Can Die.
Oh yeah.
And I had no idea how I was going to put this all together. Mm-hmm. And I went on a cruise with Alex and putting everything down and come back and we did the play and no, that was Dracula. I was taking that one. But I remember having the script, reading it home in Rocky Hill and just highlighting where all music is going to come in. And then I got a DRC, put all the music on tape and then pieced everything together. And it was a good piece of artwork. And did I tell you how I got that gig? I had done Picnic. One of my CSB students was in Suffield Players, and he wanted some sound effects. And he asked me if I had them. I said sure. So I gave him a reel of the sound effects and that. And I went and saw the show. And after the show, I went to the cast party at night. Of course, having some wine and feeling pretty good, this and that. And they were telling me, he says, we want to do another play called Any Number Can Die, where a girl is walking through the woods. Can you have some wind sound in that? And I looked at it, I says, I can do better than that. How about we have some nice mood music, put that underneath your dialogue and have it, talking over the dialogue and everybody's just staring at me. Mm-hmm. We could do that? I said, sure, we can do that. We go, no problem. I said, they'll never send me the script. 3 weeks later, I get the script.
Oh, God.
So I'm sitting there and I talked to Tommy about helping me on it. And we had, the 2 reel-to-reels and the cassette deck and the 8-track with the wind sound and that. And I pieced it together and everything worked out perfect.
Wow.
Everything.
Wow.
Then when we did that's how we got to do Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted me to do Dracula, and I brought you on board.
Yeah, that was
I think
fun.
You did a couple of the shows. I think you did all three Draculas with me.
And then I did. Then I was on stage with them for Tartuffe.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
That was good. But yeah, it was so much fun to be with them. Such a great group. And now they've got in Glastonbury, they just redid the whole Grange Hall over, and they've turned it into a theater. And they also do it for weddings and everything else. It's a beautiful room. So I was talking to that woman about maybe doing the show over there. But you know, this is going to be 3 weekends, and I just want to see it go somewhere else after that. But oh my God, it was so much.
I would love to see it. I really would. I really would love to see it.
Well, maybe
get it on videotape, send it to me. You know.
Well, yeah, and maybe by the time you get back, we'll still be doing it again. I don't know.
But I hope so. Yeah, that'd be fine. Great.
All right, I guess we better go.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out with me. It felt good for me to just shoot the breeze.
Yeah, and it was good. It's good. We could see each other. We got to get back on the radio again.
I guess we don't have to mix this one. We were both here. Okay.
Yeah.
But,
all right, Steve. Talk to you later.
You want me to send this one to you?
Don't need to.
We were here. Okay.
Yeah, we were here.
Hey, you know something? I'm telling you, people love seeing them after the fact too. They really do. I got a note from Steve.
Actually, send it to me. I'll send it to me, and I'll put it online.
I sent it to Steve Skip, and I got a note from Steve Skip about not being part of it. I said, I'll just take you off the distribution list. He goes, no, I really like it. And he specifically, this was like a day ago, and he was talking about Paul Payton. He's like, all that stuff that with Paul, I was like, wow, because he implied that a lot of people go through that stuff. So, I think it's good from that standpoint. But with Skip, it was great that we did the boobs and we got to see him. Yeah. And with Paul, it was great that, he got to be part of this. So we're not all going, oh, geez, I meant to call him.
Yeah.
That's what this thing's all about. All right, man.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
Your friend has got a lot to share.